NBC News after a complaint about inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. This is Outnumbered. I'm Sandra Smith, and here today, Harris Faulkner. Co-host of After the Bell on Fox Business, Melissa Francis. The editor of townhall.com, Katie Pavlich. And today's hashtag One Lucky Guy, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. And he is outnumbered, if you couldn't tell from the laugh during the tease, who is sitting to our left. It's good to see you, Judge.
Pleasure to be here, no matter how grave the stories are that we are to discuss.
All right, well, let's get started with this one. Longtime Today Show anchor Matt Lauer fired from NBC News. It happened after someone filed a complaint against him about inappropriate sexual behavior. NBC News chairman Andy Lack saying in an email to employees this morning, while it is the first complaint about his behavior in the over 20 years he's been at NBC News, we were also presented with reason to believe this may not have been an isolated incident. Lack's email says he received the complaint Monday night. Today, co-anchors Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb made the announcement this morning.
For the moment, all we can say is that we are heartbroken. I'm heartbroken for Matt. He is my dear, dear friend and my partner, and he is beloved by many, many people here. And I'm heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her story, and any other women who have their own stories to tell.
Rick Leventhal is live from New York City. Rick?
And Sandra, just 8 days after CBS gave morning anchor Charlie Rose the boot over alleged inappropriate behavior, NBC axes Matt Lauer because of charges that were apparently too serious to be handled any other way. The New York Post is reporting that an NBC staffer complained to HR on Monday that Lauer had sexually assaulted her at the Sochi Winter Olympics in 2014. The New York Times is reporting that it met with that woman on Monday, but she wasn't ready to go public, and that she and her lawyer met with HR and NBC's legal department for several hours on Monday night. The statement released by NBC News chairman Andy Lack this morning reads in part, on Monday night we received a detailed complaint from a colleague about inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace by Matt Lauer. It represented, after a serious review, a clear violation of our company's standards. As a result, we've decided to terminate his employment. Lauer replaced Brian Gumbel as co-anchor of the Today Show back in January of 1997 and has circled the world 10 times since, interviewing 3 sitting presidents, covering 20 Thanksgiving Day parades and 7 Olympics, including Sochi, where this alleged assault took place. His co-host seemed stunned by the news this morning.
It's hard to reconcile what we are hearing with the man who we know, who walks in this building every single day. We were both woken up with the news kind of pre-dawn, and we're trying to process it and trying to make sense of it, and it'll take some time for that.
We're learning that a number of news outlets, including the New York Times and Variety, say they've been working on stories for weeks or months about Lauer and alleged sexual misconduct. Variety says that it spoke to multiple women with far-ranging accusations and that NBC was aware of it. Back to you guys.
And potentially got ahead of it. Rick Leventhal, thank you. With us hearing directly from the network themselves with that memo from Andy Lack this morning.
Right. So NBC is not the government, so there's no due process like there would be if you were going to be tried. But they do have to be basically fair to the accused because the contract that he signed with them requires that. Can they be fair in 36 or 48 hours? Yes, if they analyzed carefully the complaints and decided they were credible and presented these complaints to him and his lawyers and heard their version of them. So this is not a trial. This is not a face-to-face confrontation. This is the satisfaction of management that it's doing the right thing and the lawful thing. And they did that, apparently, though these rumors have been around, according to Rick Leventhal's report, they did this in less than 48 hours, which is really record time.
It's not rumors, though. It's not rumors. I mean, what Rick said that is accurate is that reporters have been circling Matt Lauer for a while, and that is true. That's a fact. So for NBC to act like this was all a big shock, 48 hours ago or 24 hours ago is disingenuous. At the same time, I give them credit. Just because reporters are circling someone doesn't mean they're guilty. So it is up to that organization to do a thorough investigation. But to act like this is the first we've heard of it and we instantly fired him, A, that wouldn't be right because they do deserve time to go and look into it, but B, is disingenuous.
It sounds like this is the first formal complaint. It sounds like the complaint.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even go that far.
Well,
because NBC is already saying that
what
there may be more.
Leventhal just said. The complainant showed up with her lawyer, which is very, very serious.
Well, because news reporters had already reached out to her. I mean, she probably should have some representation if she's going on the record and she knows she's being sought after, not just for comment, but potentially to compare stories, which could become evidence in a case. We don't know what's coming down the pike. NBC did not say, no, there's no more. And remember, with Al Franken and the Senate, when he was asked, could there be more women who'll come forth who'll say you've groped them? I don't know. I couldn't have guessed about these two before.
Because there could be civil litigation or criminal prosecution that could follow up.
Some of those conversations that she would have either with reporters or with management can become evidence in this case.
Well, the idea that, this is the first formal complaint, I don't buy that as anything that means or carries any kind of weight. This maybe has been going on for a long time. Maybe there were young women working at NBC who didn't want to come forward and didn't file formal complaints because they didn't feel like the HR department was on their side. They didn't feel like anything was going to be done. And they felt like Matt Lauer would ruin their career, not only at NBC, but at any other network in town. And so this idea that there's only one formal complaint and therefore that's what we're going on, sure, but there may have been other instances that weren't necessarily reported through what they claim are proper channels, and that doesn't mean there wasn't more wrongdoing.
But under the law, if the one formal complaint embodies facts that are severe, that is sufficient to fire him. It does not have to be a pervasive series of regular, consistent, systematic
But it's a cultural problem, which is what I think we're
But that cultural problem is where we are now, right? And you wonder if we're at the beginning of this, or if we're near the end of this, or look at what Andy Lack said in that memo. This appears to not be an isolated incident.
Right.
So a lot more could come of just this particular.
I agree with what both of you are saying, and I think that language in Lack's email was intended to lift the lid a little bit, to give them some protection, so to speak, because they know a lot more is coming.
But I want to piggyback off of what you said, Melissa, because I think you're right. We can't look at this as NBC acting shocked. You also can't look at it as an accident that happened. I mean, some of what I'm seeing is this sort of, well, the man first and then the woman, and we feel bad about this, and then, look, we work at Fox. Let's not ignore the 800-pound gorilla in the room. I mean, we have been down a road ourselves, and what we know as we watch this with these other women, incredible bravery for these victims to come forward.
Yes.
And can I say too, I just want to speak to sort of Savannah and Hoda's tears there, because there's also been this rumbling as we see the co-anchors go out bravely in the morning. We saw it on CBS as well. And with a lot of pain come out and talk about someone that they've been close to that's now accused of something that's pretty horrific. And there's a bit of a backlash out there going, what did these women know? And I would just say for myself that I've been close to people who have been accused and shed tears myself, for... Is it true? Is it not? Just that whole thing that you go through in your mind, and this is someone I was close to and cared about, and it's hard. And, don't pile on those women who are there, sitting there crying and saying, well, you must have known. I mean, maybe we all hear rumors about lots of things. I mean, and you don't know what to believe and what not to.
Well, and even if they did, what are they supposed to do about it? Is it really their fire to be poking around in? I mean, what benefit do they have to be?
Well, to help other
look,
women.
NBC has...
Sure, but does that, based on the culture that they've had and that has been in all of these different stories that we've seen, if those women who work with them every day maybe have heard some things that go on.
Maybe they've had their own experiences.
How are they
too,
supposed to handle it?
With
really, they're going to put their career on the line for something that might not work out for them.
Look,
we don't know their total story.
NBC had a choice to make how and when and out of whose mouth to reveal this. They may very well have decided,
his co-anchor.
right, for PR purposes.
Same with Charlie Rose.
We need the co-anchors to come across this way.
But
we know what they really knew. We need them to come across this way at 7 o'clock in the morning, because there are millions of people that are going to be baffled by this.
Gail King said something I thought that was very eloquent when this happened with Charlie Rose. She said, it's complicated for everybody involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also legal. regard to Matt Lauer, you've got to kind of let this play out. So, I mean, we're in kind of, you ask, are we at the beginning?
Yes.
This is a bigger problem for them.
Has no interest in coming to an agreement.
That. Plus, Democrats responding after Mr. Trump named and shamed Chuck Schumer and Nancy. You've got Barbara Comstock. She's going to come forth with her
in the United States. If that missile had launched on a different
dummies in the Pacific. Here's the well, it depends on who that is.
The first thing is that war might be the only
crisis going on in that country.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi pulled out of that meeting yesterday with the president. They said, no, we're not going. The clock is ticking on a spending bill needed to avoid a government shutdown. The president blasting their move. So how will this all play out?
They decided not to show up. They've been all talk, and they've been no action. And now it's even worse. Now it's not even talk.
Speaking of time, look at your watch. The Senate could begin debate just hours from now on the Republicans' tax reform bill. The House is sounding optimistic. Will the GOP holdouts get on board or get in the way?